It might be an HTML document, it might be a picture or a video. And these resources, they are located on computers across the globe. Like this, any page you are accessing right now, it may be located in the US or the UK or any, as a matter of fact, anywhere. And they can be accessed via their URL. So it's basically the address for that particular resource. And so the web, also known as World Wide Web, it was created by Tim Berners-Lee. He was a scientist at CERN in 1989 as a system for transferring files. And well, you guys know how big it is now. It just started, as a small project. Okay. So the whole web, it runs on a protocol known as HTTP. You guys might have seen the HTTP in your browsers in the URLs. So that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So it's just a set of rules and procedures that are followed by, well, followed by servers and clients for exchanging data over the internet. And it is a text-based protocol, meaning all the data that is transferred is transferred via text medium. And there is another version of HTTP, it's HTTPS. So that stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secures, and it is the encrypted version of HTTP, and it is useful for secure transmission of data. All right, so let's understand what happens when you enter a URL into your browser. So I think I need to share my screen. Just a sec. Okay. Is this window visible? Can you guys see another window that is there? Or you can just see the client server architecture right now?
Only client server architecture.
All right. Okay, must be visible now. Okay, so let's type in something. Okay, so let's say we have this URL. This is a website and it is an HTML document. So what happens right now, if I click enter, is the browser will send a request to something called a DNS. It's a domain name server. So that server, it will return the IP address for this particular website. So IP address is basically an address containing some numbers, and it will return that address to our browser, and then our browser will make a request to that particular address. And at that address, we have a server present. So the server will send a response, and which will be interpreted by the browser, and then it will be rendered on the screen. Okay. So you guys can see right here, the client sends a request to the server and the server will send a response to the client. So here the client can be anything. It can be a web browser, it can be your phone, any kind of app. So there are multiple clients that are possible. You can even send requests via your terminal. Okay. So this is how a request and a response looks like. So this here, right, it's the HTTP method. It's called the HTTP method in this particular request. So this is a GET request, and it is followed by the endpoint. So we have /index.html. So that is the URL for that particular resource. and it is followed by a space and then http/1.1. So http is the protocol and this 1.1 is the version. So http itself has different versions. There is 1.0, we have 1.1, we also have 2.0. So here, if the request was HTTPS request, we will have HTTPS instead of HTTP. And then let's look at the response. So the response specifies the protocol and the version first, and then it's followed by a number. So this right here is 200. It signifies, so this number, it's known as the status code for that particular response. um, Here we have 200, which means that the server processed the request and it says that the request was accepted, and then it is followed by the reason, well, a status message. And in the next line, we have some headers signifying the nature of the response. So this response, it contains an HTML document. So here it's specified that it's a text/HTML doc. And then it's followed by the HTML document itself. So this first line, it's known as doc type. Um, okay, so Doctype Declaration. So it tells the browser what kind of document it is. So it might have been some other kind of document. So maybe XML. That is another format of data transmission. So here we have HTML. So it specifies that first, and then it has the whole HTML markup code. Okay. So how does the browser handle the response? So based on the HTTPS status code, the browser will render the response. So if the response isn't proper, the browser might render nothing. And for example, um, if we visit a URL on the web where nothing is present, so we will get a 404. It's pretty famous. So that's the status code for the resource is not found. Okay, so once we get a proper response, the browser will take out the HTML and it will generate a DOM out of it. So a DOM is a document object model, it's just a fancy word for all the elements that it has to create. Excuse me. So it's just a fancy word for all the elements it has to create and render on the screen. And inside the HTML document, there might be other uh, there might be links to other resources like JavaScript or a CSS style sheet or even an image or a video. So as and when the browser comes across the resources, it will fetch those resources too and render them on the screen. Okay. So the typical contents of a web page are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What's HTML? It's the skeleton of the web page, and we use it to specify the contents inside the web page, and we use it to define the structure of our web page. Next, there is CSS. The full form for that is cascading style sheets. And using CSS, we can specify the styles for different elements on our web pages. And we have JavaScript. So JavaScript is a programming language and it is used on the web to give a web page functionality. For example, if you click a button on any website, that means that on the behind the curtains, JavaScript is working. Okay, let's move on. So HTML. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it's a language for exchanging data over the internet. And I think I've already covered this. Okay, so let's create our first web page using HTML. Please open codesandbox.io. I'll give you guys a couple minutes for that. And sign in. Do not yet create a new sandbox. I'll give you some directions for that. Okay. Okay, so I'm sending a poll. It's just for me to know how many of you have what kind of experience with web development. So just fill it in. It's on Meet itself. Just fill it in. Okay. Okay, so let's create a new sandbox. So we are going to use a template that was created by me for this. Just search it in the search box right here. Go and explore templates and just type Bird Simpson starter. Okay. Let's go ahead. All right. Okay. So this is how an HTML document looks. In the starter, so here you can see all the contents of this project. We have index.html file, then we have a contact.html, we have a 404.html, and then we have a folder containing all the assets. We have two kinds of assets, three HVG assets. Those are icons, and then we have different kinds of images. Okay, so let's look at this HTML document. So here we have the Doctype Declaration as we discussed earlier. Was that someone trying to ask something? Okay, I don't think so. All right. So
Could you repeat
yeah.
the template thing?
Okay, no problem. Sure. Okay, so just go and explore templates, and inside of this search bar, type Bert Simpson starter. So in the starter, I've put all the images and stuff so that there's no need to download. And we're using Code Sandbox because so that we don't have to do any kind of setup on every each one of you's machines. So yeah, hence Code Sandbox. Also, we can deploy your websites from Code Sandbox itself, provided that you have created your GitHub accounts and signed in using them. Okay, might be here. Okay. Where is, okay, where did my, I'll just create a new one. Okay. Okay, so I can see 40% of you guys have no experience at all with web dev, and 50% of you are beginners. Okay, okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I joined the session very late because I had an exam.
Yeah, it's fine.
So going through the recording later should work, right?
Yeah, it will work just fine.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So HTML, it always starts with a angular bracket, a smaller sign, if you refer to it in that manner, and then following. Okay, I think I should increase my fonts, right? Font size. Okay. Yeah. This is good enough, right? Okay. So it is followed by the name of a tag, for example, an image tag. And then we close the tag using an angular bracket, a slash, and the tag name. So this is how we create an element on a web page. So each of the HTML tags, we can either write them in capital case or small case, but it's a standard. Everyone writes all the HTML tags in small case, and then each of those tags can have different attributes. So this right here, it's character set, and it's short is car set, and it's UTF-8. So it's
But
just, yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, but we have few requests to go slow. So if you
Oh,
could decrease your speed.
okay, sure, sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we go ahead with HTML? Anything at all? No, no questions are stupid. It's fine if you want to ask. Okay.
Do we have to sign in using a GitHub or actually I signed in using my Gmail account?
Okay, it's fine. You just have to go through an extra step before you can publish your site. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Yes, you guys can unmute yourself to ask questions. Okay. Let's comment this out. So you guys can type in HTML and it will autocomplete, with the brackets. So you don't have to go through typing brackets all the time. So this is where our HTML document starts. So a typical HTML document will have a head and a body, just like us. Inside the head, I'm sorry, I think I got disconnected for a while. Okay, so we have a head and then we have a body. So whatever that we can see on the screen, all of that is inside the body of the HTML, and the rest is inside the head of the HTML. So whenever you open a web page, you can see that something is written on the tab. So this is the title of the tab. So and it is specified by the title tag. So you can give a title to this particular web page. Let's say Bert Simpson portfolio. So this is the title for your particular web page. And then, well, okay, I think that's all we need right now. Let's have a look. Okay, and yeah, this is important. And then we have some other tags called meta tags, and these tags are mainly for the search engines and browsers. For example, let's have a look at this one. Okay, so we have this meta tag right here, and it has an attribute called character set. So just imagine a person. The person will have some attribute like his qualification or the language that the person speaks. So like that, we have attributes for tags, and the value for the character set attribute is UTF-8. So it's UTF-8 is a format for encoding these characters. So anything you can see it inside the computer, it has to be represented in some way, and UTF-8 is a format using which these particular characters are represented inside a computer. Okay. So that's what meta tags are useful for search engines and your browser. Okay. Bit. Okay, so you guys can see that there is nothing on the screen right now. It's empty because we have no elements inside the body. Okay, so let's put something up. So this is an H1 tag. So it is a heading. And likewise, we have H2 and H3, and like that we have till H6. So these are headings, and the number followed by the H represent the significance. So H1 is a heading with the highest significance. H2 is a heading with a significance lower than H2, and likewise. Okay, so inside of H1 we can specify the title of our website, like let's say, hi, I am Bert. Okay, so interesting. Okay, should do. Okay, hi, I am Bert. All right, so that's the H1 tag. Now we can even render images on our web page. So for that we use an image tag. Okay, so the image tag, it will have a couple of attributes. The first attribute is the source attribute, and the value will be the location of the image we are trying to render here. So uh, in the project files, we can see we have the assets folder, and inside of that we have another folder, images, wherein we have the picture of Bert. Okay, so we need to give the location for the picture of Bert. Okay, so how we do that is, first we have the slash. So a slash represents the root of this project. That means this directory. and it will be followed by assets, which is the name of the folder assets, and it will be followed by images and followed by person png. Okay, does this make sense what we just did right here? Does anybody not understand what we did here? No questions. Okay. So here we have another tag, the alt tag. So in the alt tag, we provide a description of that image. So we can just simply write Bert Simpson. So where is this alt tag useful? So when let's imagine a search engine is going through your web page, like Google is going through your web page, and it comes across an image. So for it to understand what the image is about, it will use this alt tag, and from its content, it will understand what the image is about. And it's also important when you want to make your web page accessible to everyone. For example, if someone is visually impaired, then they will use a screen reader, and those screen reader, it will use this alt tag and say it out to the person. Okay, so let's save. Okay, so you guys can see that this is a very big picture. So the browser natively, it will render the image in its actual size. So the image is very big. So what we can do here is we can give another attribute to image, that is height. So let's say we want to give a 250 pixel height. Let's see what happens. Okay, so bird became, short. All right, so that's how we can put up images in our web page. All right, is everybody following me? I suppose. Okay, let's remove this. Okay. Okay, so what you guys are seeing right here is an HTML comment. So like we have comments in every other languages, and usually they start with a double slash or something like this. But in HTML, we have comments that start with an angular bracket, followed by a bang, and followed by 2 hyphens. And then you can write whatever, followed by, 2 hyphens and the closing angular bracket. That's how you write comments in HTML. Okay, so you guys, if you want to comment out a big section of code, you can simply use control and comma, or command comma for Mac users. Okay, so, oh wait, it's not control comma, it's control and slash. I'm sorry, my bad. And command slash. Okay, so that will comment and uncomment your code. Okay, so let's have a look at the portfolio we are going to make now. Okay, right here. Okay, so this is how the first section will look like. Then, so this is what we call the heroes section of our web page. So it will contain the main content that we want to show the viewer of a web page. So it will have the first heading H1. So right here, building brands and their best user experience is an H1 element. and then it will be followed by a short brief description, and this might be inside another tag called the paragraph tag. So the paragraph tag is like this. Okay, so we write just, it's just p, and then we write out the content inside of it. I am a web developer. So that's a paragraph of text that we want to put up in our website. Okay. All right. And then we have an input, and it is followed by a button. So as we have a button, that means we'll be using JavaScript here. And on the top, we have the logo for our web page or our personal brand. And it is followed by, okay, I think I should zoom in. Okay. It is followed by some links. And at the end, we have external links. So you might have some a Dribble account, a Twitter account, or an Instagram account. So we provide those links too. Okay. Next, we have an about me section. So in this section, you'll put up some lines about yourself, and it is followed. Okay, just a sec. Okay, so this right here is the contact page we are going to make. So the first two sections we saw, they are on the home page itself, and then we have another page, the contact page, which will look like this. And in there we have a form for sending the message. So a viewer will type up the message and send it to, well, you. And this is the footer. So you guys might have seen something like this on the bottom of every page. Like any reputed website, at the bottom, you have some page like this, a section like this. It will have the links and the copyright especially. Okay. All right. So let's try and build out the homepage for, I'm sorry, the hero section. Okay. I'm just going to remove all of this. Okay, before I proceed, does anybody have question? You want me to go slower or faster? Guys, just send a thumbs up if, it's fine. Everything's going okay. All right, all right. Thank you. Okay. So let's start with I think maybe I should open this design side by side. Okay. So first we have the this whole element, and it's a navigation element. So it represents the section in which we have the main links that we would like the user to go to. For example, the link to your contact page, or the link to your projects, or the link to your CV or something like that. So it contains the main links that you want the user to go to. Okay. So first we can see we have the logo image. So for that, we will use an image tag.
अब कैसी आवाज आ रही वॉइस?
Excuse me?
अब आ रही है ना बढ़िया वॉइस. मारूंगा चट्टा, इतनी भयानक आवाज आ रही होगी साला. मारेंगे चट्टा. आप सही आ रही है अब? अगर
Sparsh Arora, I think your name is visible to everyone.
गर्मी में बैठा हूँ मैं पंखा बंद करके.
Right. Thank you. I'd like you to leave the meeting, please. If you don't want to attend, just get out. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, let's continue. So the logo image that we have is inside assets and images. Okay, so we have assets, images. Okay. And that will be followed by avatar.png. Okay. And in the alt text, we can simply put avatar. Okay. So okay, I think I need to make this bigger. Okay, so we can see we have this logo here. Now we have a series of links. So we can think about those links as a list. So the UL tag. The UL tag is an unordered list. So we have two types of tags for lists. We have a UL and another one is OL. So UL is an unordered list. OL is ordered list. So you will use an ordered list when you want to signify the order of the points inside the list. For example, if you're showing a recipe on a web page, so for that, the steps and their orders is important. For example, first you have boil the spaghetti, and then the second step is make the sauce. Likewise, so in there the order is important. But in our use case, the order isn't really important. The HTML will still preserve the order of the elements that we write here, but we will still use the UL because, well, the order isn't important here. So for the elements of the list, we have another tag for called li, and that's short for list element. So uh, first, the first one maybe home, and then let's say we have about, and then we have another one will be services. Okay, so here we've put up, let's remove home for now. Okay, so we have put up three list elements. Okay, why is this happening? Okay, where did the image go? This shouldn't be happening. Let's see. Oh, all right, right here. Okay, so we have the links here, but they are still not clickable, right? So we want to put in that hyperlink inside our HTML document. So for that, we will use another tag called an anchor tag. So let me just remove this. It's the anchor tag, and its short is A. And this is used for creating links on a web page. And how do we specify the link that we want the user to go to? So for that, we have an attribute called href. And no, I don't remember the full form of href. I think it might be hyper reference. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Okay. So here you can put the link for the user. Okay. So what was this? I forgot. Okay, so it's about. So let's say we have a separate page for about me. So for that, we'll have about.html. So we need to specify the HTML extension too. And likewise, let's say we have another page for our services. And one for our contact page. Okay. Space it out so that it's more clear. Okay. So until now, we created a navigation element inside of which we have an image and a list of links. Okay. So in the design, we have. All right. So there's a question. What key do you use to autocomplete these tags in Code Sandbox? So not just for Code Sandbox, but even for any kind of editor you might use, autocomplete generally is triggered by tab. So let's say, I mean, okay, we have an image tag and just press, for example, you press IM and then you can go through these suggestions and just press tab. It will autocomplete for you. Okay. So now in the design, we have another set of links, the external links that we talked about earlier. So again, it's a list. So it's pretty simple. I'm just going to leave the href attribute empty right now. Okay. So let's use our icons now. Okay, so we can use the icons with the help of the image tag itself. You just specify the location for that, assets, icons, and then wait a second. Okay, so the icons that we're going to use here, they are not in our folder. They are actually external icons that we are going to use. Maybe we will talk about external icons in the next session. Okay, so let's scrape the last list of links for now. We will cover that in the next session. I'm sorry. Okay, so that was the navigation bar. Okay, let's move on.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So the browser is not responsive to the changes I'm making in the HTML code. So
Right. So
how
you must,
update?
because yeah, you'll have to save the file. If the icon here isn't X but filled circle, that means you haven't saved the document yet. So once you save it, it will update.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me just remove the spaces. Okay. So that was the navigation element. Did it make sense? If not, just ask the questions. All right, let's move on. Okay, so we have the hero element here. And for that, we will use a tag called header. Okay, let's look at what a header is. So it will contain the content that will familiarize the user, the viewer of the website, or with the. Okay, so it will familiarize the user with, what's on the website, what's the website about. It will contain the introductory content. Okay, so inside of the header, let's create an h1 tag. So this is the heading tag that we talked about earlier. It contains experience. Okay, link, brands, and the best user experience. So in our case, Bert Simpson is the designer and user experience developer. So, just keep that in mind. Okay, so we can see that the experience part of this is in purple color. So that's, a span of the h1 tag, which is in a different color. So what we can do here is we can use another tag called span, and in there we put experience. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so in there we put experience. So what is span represents, it's just separate, so it doesn't signify anything. It just, well, it's just a separation of some content for applying some different styles. For example, in this case, we have a purple colored span. So so if we want to give this span a different color, we can use an attribute called style. And inside the style attribute, we can give it a color of let's say, okay, I don't like the purple very much. Let's say plum for now. Okay, so this is a color. It's a built-in color in all the browsers, so you can just use the name plum and it will appear. Okay, so here you can see that experience is in the plum color. We can have it any color you want. We can have it red, we can have it Rebecca purple. So any color you want, you can put it here. Okay, so that's the h1 tag. Now we have the brief description followed by the heading, right? Yes, a product designer and a visual developer. Okay, product designer and visual. SF is short for San Francisco. Okay, so you might be able to see that product designer and visual developer, they are in bold. So what we can do to implement that is, okay, so yep, there is yet another tag. I know there are a lot of tags in HTML, a lot. So we have a tag for bold content on our website. So it just applies for text, not for images or anything like that. Okay, so inside the strong tag, we put in product designer, and similarly for this, sorry, put in visual developer. Right. So you guys can see that on our web page, it has been converted into bold, these two particular spans of texts. Okay, let's complete it. I specialize. Okay, we can leave it for now. Okay, so that's the paragraph text. Okay, so we are not going to create the input element right now, mainly because so we are going to have a slight difference in the designs that I show you and what we're going to implement. So as you might remember, there is the image of Bert on the right part of our screen in the header element. So let's do that. Images person.png. Okay, Bert Simpson. Okay, so there goes the image of Bert Simpson right here. And again, let's just constraint is height. It's just a temporary measure. We will go deeper into how we can style all these elements in a later session about CSS. And there is another image that we need to put up is, I'll just show you. Okay, assets, images, purple sprinkles. Okay, so this purple sprinkles thing, it's background for Bert. So it is visible at the end of our screen. So you can do something similar here. And yeah, so that's 250 pixels high. All right, so this is the simple web page that we have created. It's it's not a lot, but it's something you can be proud of, that because it's your own and you created it for the first time. But in the very next session, we will complete the whole page, and we will also start CSS. So we will be able to style all these elements. We'll have a horizontal navigation bar followed by the header, and Bert with a background and about me. So we'll get to styling our web page in the next session. Okay, so that's introduction to web and HTML. Any questions or anything you'd like me to go over again? Okay, so in chats, I can see, can we use URLs for SRC? Yes, you can use URLs for SRC. So even this, okay. So you guys can copy this link. Okay, you can just open in a new window by clicking that button. And so here we have the path for the website. There is actually index.html. Let's see. Okay, so this is the actual path for our website. But by default, if you visit, let's say, even Google, there is no index.html at the end of this URL, but index.html is optional. Like, it can be substituted out for literally nothing, just the domain of the web page, and there you'll have the index.html page. Okay. So even the source attribute, it is actually a link. Let me just reopen the thing, and okay, let's copy this and visit it in our browser. Okay, so right here, the source attribute actually acts as a URL, because when the browser will come across this image element, and it will use the source attribute to get the content from the server. So every resource, any kind of resources, may it be an image, a simple text file, or even a HTML document, or something as complex as a Twitter app or the Facebook app. Everything is a resource that can be fetched over the internet using HTTP. And you need to have the URL, that is the address. Okay. What is scroll behavior? All right.
Asada, break you here for a minute. Guys, we are officially over with the session. Now we are taking the doubts. So if you wish to leave, you can. And I just want to know how many of you are having doubts, like any doubt. Can you please raise your hands? Only one person? Guys, it's okay. We are there to help you out. So in case like even the slightest of doubt, it's okay. You can raise your hands.
Okay, so I can see one raised hand, but there are some questions in the chat box. Okay. So first one is from Ayush. What is scroll behavior? Okay. So this is a style tag. Wait a sec. This is a more complex one. Let's come back to it later. First, let's take the next question first. Why are my tags just blue, not colored like yours? Okay. What do you mean by tags? Are you talking about this right here in my browser? Uh, Madhav, I'd like you to open your mic and talk to me, if that's fine with you.
Yeah. Your tags are appearing red. Mine are just
Red.
blue.
Okay, okay. So that's just a theme inside Code Sandbox. So you can just Google set Code Sandbox theme, and then you can set any kind of theme you want. So I don't remember. I
Also,
think
do I need to
hmm,
configure the tab key because it's not auto completing the tags for me?
that normally it should autocomplete. Like there is,
Yeah, it was not
wait.
even coming from me also.
Okay,
Yeah, me
that's
also.
not okay. Oh, okay. So everyone who wants autocomplete, just press Control and comma on your Code Sandbox and type in autocomplete. Okay, where is autocomplete? All right. So here you can see that is weird. Workspace settings. Okay, I'm not able to figure out from where to enable autocomplete. I think you'll just have to Google it. I'm sorry. But if you want to set your theme, you can browse on the web what kind of themes Code Sandbox supports, and then you can set it inside the settings for your Code Sandbox. Okay. Next question is what is alt in image tag? Okay, so alt is it stands for alternative text. So wait a sec. Let's do this. Okay, so on the top you can see the avatar, the image. It is not rendered. Instead, a small icon that like I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me open it here. Okay, so this small weird icon appears followed by avatar. So that is the alt text that we defined here. So if your browser fails to fetch the image for any kind of reason, maybe you misspelled the name of the image, like in our case, or maybe the internet broke in between. So it will just render this weird icon and the alt text. And this is also useful for search engines. So let's say Google, goes through your website. It comes across your image tag. It wants to know what's inside the image tag. So what it will do is it will uh, look at the alt attributes value. So this is the value, and it will see, okay, it's an avatar. So that's how the search engine will understand what's the image about. And another reason is for accessibility. So let's say if someone's visually impaired and the screen reader will read this out to them so that they can understand what's the image about. Okay, that's what alt tag is about. How to add color to text. Okay, let me just create another. Let's create an h2 tag.